I remember coming out of the hall after my third attempt, and I was just so upset. I was like, I am done with this MBA journey. I am done applying for an MBA. There are so many other courses I can do. And I met this guy outside and he was like, this is nothing now. You have to keep writing till you get your score. And I looked at him like, this guy does not know that I'm spending money to write this exam. Ambition can be valid. Your ambition can be stamped by God fully, but timing matters. Your strategy also matters. It's probably my most requested video, and I have filmed this video like once, twice, 3 times, almost as much times as I wrote the GRE. I want to make something clear. This video is not about to say or share that, oh, the GRE is this difficult exam that everybody has to write multiple times, 3, 4 times. I know people that wrote the GRE once and they did good. I know people that wrote it twice and they did excellently well. This video is more about the mistakes that I made when I was preparing for the GRE in terms of the approach that I took and the things that I would do differently if I was to write the GRE again in 2026. Also, I am not a GRE expert. I am not an MBA expert. I usually share things based on my experience. And also, if you're someone who has written the GRE 3, 4, 5 times, this video is also to somewhat give you a reassurance that there is nothing wrong with you. So I hope you learn a thing or two from the video. I started preparing for my MBA in September of 2023, even though I always knew I wanted to do an MBA since 2020. In my previous video, I've said that before, where I wrote it in my journal in 2020 that I was going to do an MBA, and I was in law school, but I was just waiting to have 2 years of work experience. But somewhere along the line, I even forgot about it and I was going ahead with my law career. So this was September of 2023. It also came with the feeling of wanting to leave my current environment. Like I was like, I want to leave my environment. That was when I was like, I want to go to school in September 2024. I'm going to put everything together and make sure that September 2024 works, which looking back, that was like the first mistake, because the GRE, the MBA has several different parts of the application. You have your essay, you're trying to get your transcript from school, you're trying to get your, recommendation letter, you're trying to write your essays, like so many things happening at once, and then you still have to prepare for a standardized test. I was like, I need to be out of here by September 2024 latest, so I'm going to do everything possible and do everything at once. And I was at some point, I was like, you know what, I wrote to the Nigerian bar. What could be harder than the Nigerian bar? So I was trying to gather all these other documents, and I didn't give it the level of seriousness that it required. So don't be like me. The GRE is not a test of intelligence. It's not a test of whether you're intelligent. It tests traps. It tries to check whether you can identify, if you can follow shortcuts. The long route is not always the best option. And it's also a test of speed as well. That was very different from what I was used to. I didn't have issues with the verbal and the essays. The quant was my major issue. I took my first attempt of the GRE on the first week in December of 2023. It was terrible. Like, I got a 298. Again, I was feeling so pressured to, like, I want to go to school in September, anything it takes. So instead of taking a break, like taking a step back to review my score and see why I got that score, and to take my time, I was like, no, I'm going to take it in a month's time so that I can apply in general. I'm explaining this because I know that even now in 2026, there's a lot of pressure. There are policies changing. Countries are coming up with different policies, school loans, different things are happening. And I know that there is a lot of pressure around, traveling abroad, moving abroad. I really pray for anyone and hope for anyone to not make decisions out of pressure, because when you're under pressure, you tend to make a lot more mistakes. I can't tell this story without mentioning God. I mean, even if you're not a Christian, I hope that you still learn a thing or two. Even though God had told me in 2020 that I was going to do an MBA, like I wrote it down and I was sure that God had told me, you're going to do an MBA one way or the other. It did not necessarily mean that the time I was forcing was the right time. If you want to apply for your MBA in September, you can't be planning for your exam in September. You need to give yourself enough time to take the exam and also anticipate that, okay, what if I don't get the score that I desire? I should be able to take it again. And I know people who prepared for the GRE in 1 week. They just locked themselves up in a room and they prepared in 1 week and they were fine. I know people that had to prepare like 18 months ahead. I know people that had to use 3 months. So it depends on you. And that takes me to my next point, which is knowing your learning style. For me, I can be very independent, but I love structure. I love accountability. I love to have like someone holding me accountable, keeping me on track. If you know that you're someone that likes to have a tutor, get a tutor. If you know you're someone that likes to study by yourself, fine. If you know you like online classes, I all know that I also use GMAT. It was very helpful, but at some point I really had to get like a physical tutor to like coach me on the GRE. Even if you want to apply for your MBA in 2027, there's nothing that stops you from doing a diagnostic test now to know to gauge where you are, so that way you can prepare better. Another mistake that I made when I was preparing for the GRE was that I had multiple projects going on. If you live in Lagos, you know that living in Lagos, first of all, is a full-time job. It's an amazing commercial city, but it is stressful. So I would go to work after the traffic, the stress and everything, and then the real corporate job you have to do. Most times I'll close late, I'll get home like 9, 10 p.m. and then still expect myself to jump on a call with my tutor. I even had tutors that were lenient enough to have like night classes with me via Zoom. They would give me assignments and I would expect myself to also show up the next day. Like theoretically it's possible, especially when you want to rush, because all these things was because I was under pressure and I wasn't giving myself enough time to prepare and to really calm down and write the exam, because I really wanted to come in 2024, which ended up not happening because I was always trying to maximize funds, because MBA applications are expensive. MBA itself is expensive. The GRE is expensive. If you cannot let go of any of your projects at the moment, it means that you might have to give yourself a longer runway to say, okay, realistically, I can't study during the week. I can only study on Saturday and Sunday. So maybe instead of preparing in a month, let me give myself 3 months, since I won't be able to commit. So your ambition can be valid, but the strategy and the timing needs to be realistic. I rushed to write the exam again the second time, early January. Mind you, I was working throughout December and I wrote it in January. My score was like 301. I had not taken my time to understand the quant, which was my weak area, and to really like calm down to write the exam. These are like strategy mistakes. And then I still wrote it a third time. I remember coming out of the hall after my third attempt and I was just so upset. I was like, I am done with this MBA journey. I am done applying for an MBA. There are so many other courses I can do. And I met this guy outside and he was like, this is nothing now. You have to keep writing till you get your score. He was telling me that it was the second time and that he was going to keep writing until he got the desired score that he needed to go to his dream school. And I looked at him like, this guy does not know that I'm spending money to write this exam. Another very important thing that I want to mention is, even while you're writing the GRE, because you might be doing all those things that I mentioned, right? Your strategy might be good and for some reason you're still not getting the desired result that you want. Even if you've not gotten your desired score, keep networking. One thing I learned is that some schools put much more emphasis on the GRE than others do. So when you get to network with recruitment officers, when you get to have this coffee chat with them and you've presented your background and they make it clear to you that they can't see you beyond the GRE score or the standardized test score, that is very important data for you to note. I mean, doesn't mean that it's a bad school. It's just what you adapting your strategy to it. That is it for this video. I hope that this video helped you and I wish you the best of luck.